met a lot of friends which are, you know, from Cambodia during that time learning English, Cambodian friends. We found that most of the kids that we were hanging out with were the ones that were coming from similar background countries, and you know, we love each other, but we have these really aggressive games to play with one another. And I think that was, thinking about it now, I think it was, you know, really goes to show where we were at, what we were experiencing.
Coming to Australia, like English didn't come in so quickly in the learning, so I picked up Spanish quite quickly, and I could just speak Spanish better and made a lot of friends with the South Americans, and it was nice, it was good.
I've always had a sort of special place in my heart for the Timorese. A lot of them didn't have parents, so they, so you know, when you go back to the hostel, you meet all of the Timorese. You know, back then they all had the, you know, the Jackson 5 haircuts, the big afro haircuts, and they were lovely kids.
The African children, they were quite funny because they would look at us and then look at themselves, and you wondered what was going through their minds, and they'd turn our hands up and look at our hands and then put theirs alongside of it, and we had a lot of fun with the little ones.
They want to learn, and they want to help their parents and the little brothers and sisters they left behind. They were terrific kids.
And it was one of the joys of the parents to hear the kids giggling and smiling. I'd sometimes bring a tennis ball or something to play with, and the kids would just latch onto it and start throwing it with each other, and they'd have a ball. And it was the kids who were icebreakers in a lot of cases for the parents, because they'd just start talking to each other, new families would arrive, and the kids would be the first ones to talk to each other, and then go back to mum and dad and say, yeah, they're okay, let's go and talk to them. And kids had a ball.
We used to go to school together, we'll come back to the hostel and we'll play all afternoon. It didn't matter whether you could speak properly, but we knew how to play. So that was one of the things, that the hostel had these different playgrounds and soccer grounds, and so it just, you know, it brought us together. It brought a lot of people together from all over the world. There was the Polish people, they were arriving too. Again, they spoke Polish, we spoke Spanish, but we played together.
Racism is born out of ignorance and fear. You know, fear is just, and you know, when it's, you know, you're only a wog until they know you, and then you're not a wog. And so there's a lot of that. And
I actually think it's important that people understand as they come to Australia that it is a country that's trying to be as multi-ethnic, cultural, faith as possible, that it's actually a living, working attempt at that sort of society. And for people who've been at war with each other, for people who, I mean, the Europeans who found themselves with Asians and didn't like Asians. I mean, there's a whole lot of racism within the population. But I think just getting to know each other, living beside each other, really started to break down that who are you, you know, and the myths of who other people are.
I remember a day when we were put into class at Westall High School, and we were sitting at the back. There was myself and two other boys sitting at the back of a geography class, and everyone was writing and doing things, and so the teacher looked at, you know, to the back of the room and wondered what was going on. So, you know, he approached us and just said, you know, what are you guys doing, you know? And we turned around to him. We don't speak English, you know. And he goes, what? You know. So we were basically taken away straight away into some special English classes.
I came from Broadmeadows, which was my last hostel, Nissen House. That was a basic, you couldn't go more basic than that. And coming into a brick-built and designed place, it was exceptional. And walking in a kitchen, which was massive. Dining room, we had 774 chairs in the dining room. It was a huge place.
Everybody has got a really strong memory of the dining room, because as soon as you walk in, it was this massive sea of tables and chairs with all the serveries, right? If you can imagine sort of the old Coles cafeteria type of thing. And being Spanish, you walk in and you just knew that it was this massive industrial kitchen that had never been touched by a drop of olive oil, ever. Ever.
But my sons 14 and 15 and my daughter 10, they enjoyed Enterprise Hostel, the food and everything, because you know they has been deprived of everything and now they got everything. Even though you know most of the food are not suit our taste, but you know it's nourishing and nutritious. So we make use of everything, especially in the morning. We eat the morning, the breakfast, everything, and to keep us fit for the day.
We couldn't stand the smell of the food because all we could smell was lamb and also the butter. We never had dairy product, you know, in our diet, and most of the food there just rich in dairy product like cream, milk, butter. So what we did, we just bought a kettle, just cook our instant noodles with bean shoot and lettuce and everything in it, and we love that. You know, in lieu of our main meal at the dining room. And I'm sure when the cleaner walked past, they probably smell instant noodles.
For school lunches, what happened is that you would get a stack of 5 paper bags at the beginning of the week, and on the front of the paper bags there was a number of how many sandwiches, right, and what filling of sandwich to put in. And there was a great big board with the fillings. So number 1 was ham, number 2 was cheese, and so on, curried egg, or you know, all the way down. Now, try to explain this to people who don't speak English, right? And nobody had a clue how this worked, right? We just had these boxes of, you know, so many people went without, you know, with the wrong sandwich or no sandwiches whatsoever, or you know, or there was always every morning there was the lady at the sandwich bar, you know, holding up an empty bag, sort of saying, "But you didn't write anything here. But you didn't," and you know, and somebody looking at them, totally lost.
It was just like one big happy family, you know, because you knew everybody. You were there every day. You knew the cleaners, you knew the gardeners, you knew the people that fed you, the chefs. You know, you knew the welfare people that worked within the boundaries of that place. So yeah, it was, you know, you could call it. It was just a really tight community, you know.
When we used to hang our washing up at the clothesline, you get to familiar, you know, you get to recognise different people, and you get to be a little bit friendly. And as you hang out your clothes, you'd say the word pants for underpants, and they would lift up their garments and say pantaloons, and you say shirt, and then they would say what shirt is in their language. But the children was incredible. They all played together, and there was no language barrier. All the children of all nationalities just played by the clothesline where we were hanging up the clothes.